Entering the grim, dark realm of Ravenloft after being approached by a mysterious man offering a reward to help the burgomaster in Barovia, fighting sinister creatures constantly at risk of the darkness in the mind. Curse of Strahd is a return to the realm of Ravenloft in the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons pre-written campaign book. It also happens to be the best release for 5th edition version to date. The book itself is thick and heavy. It's full and bursting with content. The pictures in this book are fantastic and extremely well done. I mean, look at that. One of my favorite pictures in here is from the actual castle Ravenloft, which I'm going to get right here. Right here, look at that beautiful picture. The maps are fairly easy to understand in this book as well. They lay out in that grid pattern and are pretty easy to emulate on any 1 inch by 1 inch, even when you're out in fields like this. Description lines are also pretty easy to read. They show up in this gray highlighted area, so it's something that you know to read if you choose to as a description for your players. The book comes with a large handheld map that can be folded out to show the entire realm of Barovia for players to explore. I found that this map was a critical piece to the campaign and also sets the mood for the sessions going forward, setting urgency when characters were in danger and the curiosity of looking for what to do. The map is also double-faced, the other side containing map information on Castle Ravenloft, which there's a lot of it here. But as you can see, different sections of Castle Ravenloft completely cover this on the other side. And it folds just like that back down. And they got the smaller versions of Barovia, Kresk, and, you know, a couple of the other areas on the map as well that are in the creases. Depending on the length of time that players will be playing the campaign, this map is going to receive some damage just because of the folding and unfolding of it. And honestly, I think this would maybe last one more run through this entire campaign before it starts to literally disintegrate. There's one piece that is missing from this book that also you can buy separately, and that's the Tarot deck. This is used at the beginning of the campaign, and it kind of determines where a bunch of the items and story points are going to be. They do have them in the back here, but as they are double-sided, this is definitely not meant to be cut out or anything. So you need to either find a PDF or actually buy the deck online or at your local game store. Another way you can also do it, they mention it at the beginning when you're actually doing the Tarot deck, is you can actually map these to regular playing cards, and they have that section right here. At the beginning of the campaign, the players are going to have these cards drawn for them, and that's going to give them the clues to where some of these items are actually going to end up being. And you can read off what the descriptions of the cards are, and then in the front here it also tells you what those actually are, so you should jot those down in your notes as well. But this is pretty important. It will help you set the direction that the campaign is going to go, where you want to steer your players towards, as well as really add some replayability to this campaign, which I find pretty fantastic and easy. I find the cities in Barovia and Ravenloft to be really lively. The characters in it, they're all kind of different, but they're all very well themed, and I think that each city is also very unique too in all the things that are actually in it. And for instance, the city of Valakai is this like heavily defensed city against Strahd and his minions, where Barovia is war-torn against Strahd himself. The castle acts a lot like a dungeon. That's pretty cool too. And Kresk is this kind of overrun city that's supposed to be holy, but it isn't anymore, and that's also a pretty cool theme here too. Castle Ravenloft acts as the dungeon for this entire campaign, your group is going to be spending actually quite a bit of time there. So it's really good to just take your time with it and treat it literally like a dungeon crawl and try and steer your players towards some of those locations that were drawn in the cards at the very beginning of the campaign. I also thought that the enemies in this campaign were actually really, really well done too. I mean, you have Baba Lysaga's creeping hut, which is the hut on legs, Baba Lysaga herself, which ended up being a pretty fun fight, Barovian witches, some story point based characters, and as well as Strahd himself. And all of these end up being a pretty good fight. You definitely need to read through how to play Strahd though. There's a lot here, but you can't just play him as a character that's going to soak a bunch of damage and just attack out in the open. Pretty much by the time players are going to get to fighting him, they will probably have a pretty good time in a straight up fight, but it'll be a little bit more difficult if you do guerrilla tactics with this character. All in all, I think The Curse of Strahd is probably one of the best campaign books that I've gotten the chance to play so far. It's very, very big. There's a lot of cool extras, like some of these writings that you're able to have your players read out. One thing I wish they would have done different is actually have the plain text and not just this cursive letters, because I did stumble upon it when trying to read some of them myself out to the group. So if they just had the regular text underneath and then you could show the letter, that would have been much, much better. But all in all, the book ends up being 256 pages. There's a lot here. It's meant for characters level 1 to 10. And I really enjoyed it. My group really enjoyed it. The grimdark feel of this is really cool. Some of the existing spells actually have some theme overrides for them. For instance, Big B's hand becomes the skeleton of a hand instead of, a fleshy hand. So that's kind of funny. But they just pay attention to so many little details, and there's just so many places to explore in here that you could play through this campaign 2 or 3 times and it's going to feel brand new every single time. And because this campaign is so off the rails for a campaign book, it really feels like you can just make it your own and add things to it. And I definitely did that with my group, and I think it played out very well. So if you guys have gotten a chance to play Curse of Strahd, please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really curious if you guys think this is also one of the best of 5th edition. If you guys want to support the channel and you want to purchase Curse of Strahd, you can use the affiliate link in the description. Otherwise, support your local game stores and pick this up if you want it. I think this is probably the book to pick up. I mean, you get a lot of stuff with it. They also have a DM screen, which I'll be doing a review on shortly. That comes with it, so we'll take a look at that as well. But overall, I'd say this is definitely a buy it for sure. A very, very just enjoyable book.